Hello, I'm Artisha Moore, President and CEO of Association Forum. Today, I have Henry Montoya here to talk about what Hispanic Heritage Month means to him. First, I'll ask Henry to introduce himself.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Artisha. My name is Henry Montoya. I'm Senior Manager of Operations and Impact at ALPFA, Association of Latino Professionals for America. And that's my introduction.
Thank you for that, Henry. And, one of the things in getting to know you a little bit that I'd like to talk to you about is your journey into association management, because I think you have a very unique and interesting story. So tell us a little bit about what brought you to your current role. How did you get there?
Yeah, definitely. So I was in the military and the Marines specifically for 7 years, active duty, coming back to Chicago. I decided to go back to school after trying a few jobs, and I was looking for professional networks to join. I went to a few networking events, and then I don't know why, but then I started looking specifically for Hispanic networks to see if there's any kind of opportunities there as well. And I came across this organization called ALPFA in Chicago, and they did an event with ALPFA. So I was volunteering with ALPFA, and then they made an introduction to somebody that was there from the organization. And at that time, I was studying finance at DePaul University. So they told me this is a great organization to join for accounting and finance professionals. And their first event, or the next event that was actually available, was their annual conference in Phoenix in 2008. So I pretty much spent my savings there, went there to see what it was all about. I was really blown away by just how good the event was. It was the first time I've met so many Latino professionals in person in one location. Growing up, I just never had that exposure. Maybe one or two here and there, but to see so many in one place, very articulate, very well presented and professional, I was like, this is the organization I want to be a part of. Like, this is the type of association and network people I want to connect with. So when I came back to Chicago, I kind of raised my hands to see where can I volunteer? How can I help? I want to be part of this network, connect with people more. I joined their philanthropy committee at that time. And then from there, over the years, it kind of evolved. I became part of their local chapter board for a few years. And over time, the organization also evolved beyond accounting and finance to open it up to other Latino business professionals, and then eventually focusing on developing Latino leaders of character. During that times, I graduated. Simultaneously, I was going through school, graduated, started different career paths, and I kind of started settling into Salesforce, as a Salesforce professional. I was working at a global links company, and I found out that the organization acquired 10 free licenses from Salesforce, but not many people knew about like how to configure it or what's next, how to use it. And I was like, this is what I've been learning. I've been like wanting the organization to evolve technology, and it was to a point where it was becoming frustrating. So when I saw that they were going in that direction, a lot of things started popping in my head. I was like, there's a lot I can do here, a lot I can help with, because I both know the organization from at least at that time, I thought I knew it pretty well, but I knew it really just from a local level. But once I came in as part of in staff in 2018, I realized it was pretty much almost like a startup because of the so many changes that was going on. It was like it was a startup organization, even operationally, but the brand has been there for over 50 years. Well, we hit the 50-year anniversary last month.
Yeah.
But operationally, we were just we were like a startup and building a lot of stuff. The impact was also there for the past 50 years. So we've continually made impact, but it's always with a lot of effort from our volunteers, from the staff, putting things together. And I feel like right now is where we're starting to build a lot of these foundations, bringing in new technology, making sure they're integrating with each other, and focusing more on how our new members' experiences are going to be,
Mm-hmm.
or how the new member experience is going to be, and taking us to the next level of actually measuring the impact that we actually have in the community,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to scale up.
Yeah. Henry, thank you for telling that story. And I know that we were here to talk about the Heritage Month, really, but I thought that it was really interesting because you have a very unique story of going from volunteerism to staff, right? And being able to bring that forward. I also think threaded through your story is the power of representation and having a supportive leadership community. So I have a few questions just to ask you for some reflection from your standpoint and knowing your kind of community and even the story that you just gave us about your career path. What does Hispanic Heritage Month mean to you?
For me now, it's an opportunity to try to promote that diversity within our own community. I think we are very, very diverse within our own community, and not all of us are being represented. So for me, it's being authentic about myself. Like, how am I? I feel like I'm a mix of my heritage, of not necessarily assimilation, but kind of like of my environment. I'm also a veteran too, which is a different environment. My interests are different than other people's. I'm more into like technology. I think there's generational differences too.
Mm-hmm.
An example being is a lot of males growing up, I think back in the day, they were always like tinkering with their cars and stuff. Whereas nowadays, I feel it's like the people I run into are tinkering with their computers. Like how to speed that up instead, in particularly within like the gaming community. So I think there's generational differences also as well within our community. And for me, Hispanic Heritage Month is a way to kind of encourage others to bring that out when they're part of committees and share that. And how can you share that outward?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for touching on so many wonderful things. I think the one thing that I took from your comments about the levels of diversity within a community, that resonated with me. And thank you for calling that out, because there is times when we get to National Identity Heritage Months, right, that it does become very stereotypical, bland, not the richness and diversity that really is represented within this large community, lots of different regions globally, right? So thank you for calling that out. And I'm a techie too. So when I took over technology strategy in 2008, I was one of very few women, one of only few Blacks, right? In this particular one, and to be both, it was otherized. But I tinkered with things growing up. My mom bought me a telephone so I could take it apart and tinker, right? So that really resonated with me. And I think as we move forward, one of the things that I continue to lean into is the need for leadership within our community to be more inclusive of different ways of coming about it. You hit on another theme in the diversity wheel that doesn't get talked about a lot: veterans. There's a huge workforce that is coming from the military that has a lot of value: technology, strategy development, right? People management skills, mobilization, that would benefit in decision making. So my question for you, Henry, is how can the association industry become more inclusive to the Latinx community and its leaders?
I think one of the goals there is from how to make things more welcoming. It's how do you build a community within your culture, within work? Like how do you make sure people are bringing their authentic self? How are you not knocking on failure, but actually encouraging it for innovation? How are you making it? I think it's almost like just any best practices in creating a good company culture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is allowing for the diversity to grow within the organization. Even it doesn't even have to be necessarily a particular demographic, like Hispanics in general, but even
Mm-hmm.
non-Hispanics, there's diversity there too. And allowing people to bring these different backgrounds into the environment is what I think people would like. That it's like, oh, that's a new idea. It's like it motivates you to come to work because you know you're good with what you bring, but you
Mm-hmm.
also like that curiosity to learn from others that you couldn't have experienced that from your background. But there's a lot of value in learning from others there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. And thank you for your thoughtfulness around it, because I knew that you had a jewel there that you wanted to get out, and you brought it. That whole human piece, and that there's diversity at so many levels, even from the surface and going in, right? So being a member and a leader within the Latinx community, but you're a veteran, right? You're from a certain region, you're bringing experiences, you like technology, you understand how the gaming system works and how to drive a business forward. There's somebody else who has something else. And this beautiful fabric, for me, I think is why I'm inspired to be here in Chicago to learn about this community and so many of these diverse leaders that are really driving change within our industry. So my last question for you before I let you get out of here for a good holiday weekend is, who do you admire and look up to? Who are your heroes?
Who do I admire? I think that changes depending on what my goals are. Year after year, it can change. It's usually, I'm interested in this particular theme. Who's involved in this? Who is the one who's been grinding it for years and is like the subject matter expert and knows about it? And then I try to learn like what did they do? What are the steps? So currently, right now, are those that have made those transitions from working at an organization to opening up their own business on the side. I've tried entrepreneurship myself a few times. I still want to get back into it, and I admire a lot of entrepreneurs, those that are not only the well-known ones that are successful, but those that are quiet, that have built systems in place that it really allowed them to scale.
Thank you for that. And I like what you said about fitting what you're, kind of focused on and vision to look at who you admire based on that, because it does evolve over time, right? You have some heroes that have stayed tried and true with you, and then there's new that come in based on your likes and focus. And big ups to entrepreneurship, right? There's a lot of opportunity to take what we've learned in associations to drive other areas of business. So this is fantastic. Henry, thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Your statements and comments and just sharing will help others who maybe don't see themselves in leadership and maybe want to try something new or just show up and be their whole selves at work. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Artisha.